Come on, move it! You're holding up the line! He doesn't look so tough now, does he?
The woman who died in the flooding 3 nights ago didn't drown in water. She drowned in her own blood while the Dark Fang guards laughed and placed bets on how long she'd last. They dragged what was left of her past my cell at dawn, what used to be a mother, a healer, someone with a name. Her claws were still embedded in the stone where she'd tried to hold on. They pried them out one by one. I didn't know her name. Down here, names are the first thing they strip away, like skin, like dignity, like the memory of ever being anything but property. But I remember her scent: wild roses and pine, the scent of someone who once ran free under an open sky. I remember how she screamed for her children in those final hours, how her voice cracked and splintered until there was nothing left but wet, rattling silence. I thought I would weep for her. I thought rage would consume me. But sometimes, in the darkest hours before the guards make their rounds, I think I envy her. At least she doesn't have to wake up in this grave anymore. The walls of the Dark Fang dungeons weep like the mountain itself is crying. Water seeps through cracks in ancient stone, dripping in slow, rhythmic beats that sound like a countdown. Drip, drip, drip. I've learned to measure time by those drops. 60 drops is roughly an hour, though time moves differently when you live in the belly of a nightmare that never ends. I've counted drops for 7 years. Maybe 8. There is no sun to mark the days, no moon to whisper comfort through the bars. Only darkness, iron, and the smell of wolf's bane burning somewhere above, a constant reminder that they can smother our wolves whenever they choose. I count my breaths by pain now. The shallow ones hurt less than the deep ones. Broken ribs don't heal properly when you're starving. 3 breaths shallow, 1 breath deep. That's how I survive each hour. 3 breaths shallow, 1 breath deep. I don't remember who I was before. The memories are there, lurking just beyond reach like shadows at the edge of firelight, but whenever I try to grasp them, pain spikes through my skull like someone driving nails into my temples. A curse. A seal. Something they did to make sure I forgot I was ever anything more than this, a broken she-wolf rotting in silver chains. My cell is barely large enough for me to stretch out my legs. 4 paces from wall to wall. 7 stones across. I've memorized every crack, every bloodstain, every desperate message carved by claws before mine. She was here. They took my pups. Kill me. The stones are cold enough to burn, so cold they've stolen the warmth from my bones until I'm not sure I was ever warm at all. Every sound echoes through these caverns: the screams from torture chambers below, the cruel laughter from guard posts above, the wet crunch of bone breaking in the fighting pits they run for entertainment. The Dark Fang wolves walk free in the fortress above us, feasting on stolen prey and wearing the pelts of those they've conquered. They shift whenever they want, run whenever they want, live whenever they want. Down here is where they keep the ones they're not quite ready to kill. Down here is where they store the wolves they want to break slowly, thoroughly, until there's nothing left but obedience. Down here is where they keep me. The guards call me Red Curse not because of my hair, though it's matted with blood and dungeon filth now, but because of what happens when I get too close to shifting. Black mist. Shadows that writhe like living things, like smoke with teeth. A wolf they can't quite control, can't quite break, no matter how many times they try. They never use my real name. We're forbidden from speaking names down here. It's the first rule they carve into you with silver and wolf's bane. You are not who you were. After a while, after the silver burns and the cleansings and the nights where you beg the darkness to take you, I stopped remembering it myself. It lives somewhere in the sealed parts of my mind, along with everything else they stole: my pack, my family, the reason I'm still breathing. The iron cuffs around my wrists are so heavy I can barely lift my arms anymore. They're etched with runes that glow faint blue in the dark, burning whenever my wolf stirs, whenever anger flares hot enough to break through the numbness, silver reinforced. Spelled to suppress shifting, forged specifically to keep powerful wolves buried so deep they forget they were ever meant to run wild and free. The metal has worn grooves into my wrists. Sometimes I can see bone. A metallic scrape echoes through the corridor, the sound of the iron door at the far end grinding open. Boot falls on stone. Heavy, deliberate, getting closer. My throat constricts. My pulse kicks against my ribs like a trapped bird battering its wings against a cage. They're coming. I know what that sound means. I've heard it 64 times before. 64 times they've come for me. 64 times they've dragged me to the cleansing chamber. I keep count because counting is the only control I have left. Torchlight flickers orange and red across the corridor walls before the guards appear. Two of them, Darren with his scarred muzzle and dead eyes, and Kale with a smile like broken glass. Both wear the black leather of the Dark Fang elite. Both carry silver-tipped batons that leave burns even through clothing. Time for cleansing, Red Curse? Darren announces, keys jangling as he unlocks my cell door with deliberate slowness. Alpha's orders. You're getting too comfortable down here. Starting to think you belong in a grave instead of a cage. Comfortable. The word is so absurd it almost makes me laugh. Almost. Laughter died somewhere around cleansing number 37. My legs tremble when they haul me to my feet, not from weakness, though the starvation rations don't help, but from the knowledge of what's waiting. The cleansing chamber. The silver table. The brands still hot from the brazier. The breaking. I've been there 64 times. Today will be 65. Kale yanks the chain attached to my cuffs, and fire shoots up my arms where the runes activate against my skin. I stumble but catch myself against the cell wall, palms scraping on rough stone. Falling makes them laugh, and I'm done giving them that satisfaction. I stopped falling at cleansing 41. That was the day I decided they could break my body, but they'd never make me weak. Still got some fight in you? Kale observes, almost impressed, like I'm a dog that won't stop biting. Let's see how long that lasts. I give it 10 minutes before you're begging. She never begs, Darren grunts, dragging me forward. That's what makes her fun. They haul me down the corridor, past cells holding other prisoners, wolves with hollow eyes that don't track movement anymore, rogues who challenged the Dark Fang reign and lost everything, she-wolves taken during raids and used until there's nothing left to use. Some watch me pass with dead expressions, like they're watching their own future being dragged away. Others have stopped looking at anything at all. They've gone somewhere inside themselves where the guards can't reach. I tried that once, going inside. But my wolf won't let me hide. She paces and snarls and claws, demanding I stay present, stay angry, stay alive. Sometimes I hate her for it. The air grows colder as we descend. The stairs are worn smooth from countless prisoners making this same walk. Smooth from all the blood and tears and desperation that's been dragged over them. My bare feet slip on moisture-slicked stone. The scent of wolf's bane intensifies until my eyes water and my wolf whimpers somewhere deep inside my bones, trying to curl into the smallest possible version of herself. At the bottom of the stairs is the cleansing chamber. It's exactly as I remember because I never forget, no matter how much I wish I could. My mind keeps every detail sharp and cutting, like the memories themselves are made of silver. A stone table dominates the center of the room, its surface stained so dark it looks black. Centuries of blood have soaked into that stone. Centuries of wolves broken on that altar. Iron shackles dangle from chains embedded in the ceiling, swaying slightly in the cold draft. Along the wall, silver instruments hang on hooks, brands, blades, clamps, needles, whips with barbed tips, each one polished to a cruel shine, each one designed to hurt a specific way. A brazier glows in the corner, coals pulsing like a heartbeat, like the room itself is alive and hungry. Brands heat there, metal turning from red to orange to white hot. The smell of scorched metal mixes with old blood and wolf's bane and something else, fear. The room reeks of it, soaked into the walls like the blood. Garen waits in the center of it all, arms crossed over his massive chest, expression carved from granite. He's the Alpha's enforcer down here, the one who takes personal pleasure in breaking wolves who still remember they were born to be powerful. He's been doing this for decades. I can see it in his eyes, the emptiness that comes from making torture routine. She's still resisting the conditioning, he says flatly to the guards, like I'm a dog that won't learn tricks, like I'm not standing right there. Need her fully compliant before Lady Sarah returns from the Southern Territories to inspect the new acquisitions. The lady has specific plans for this one. I don't know who Lady Sarah is. I don't know why my obedience matters to her. All I know is that every mention of her name makes the guards tense, makes their cruelty sharper, makes them work harder to break me. Whoever she is, she terrifies them. And that terrifies me. They force me onto the table, rough hands shoving me down. Leather straps bite into my ankles first, then my thighs, then my waist, each one pulled so tight I can barely breathe. My arms are stretched above my head and locked into place. I clench my jaw so hard my teeth ache, refusing to give them the sound of my fear. Not today. Not ever again. I stopped screaming at Cleansing 52. That was the day I decided my voice was mine, not theirs. Garen approaches with the iron suppression mask, the one designed to fit over a wolf's muzzle but press against my human face to remind me what I am, trapped between forms, belonging to neither world, claimed by none. He holds it up to the torchlight, letting me see the silver inlays along the edges, the runes carved into the metal. "You know what I admire about you, Red Curse?" he says conversationally, like we're sharing tea instead of torture. "Most wolves break by cleansing 20. You've survived 64. That's impressive. Almost makes me sad to do this. Almost, but not quite." His smile says he's not sad at all. He presses the mask against my face, and where silver-laced metal touches skin, I feel myself burn. The runes activate, searing into my cheeks, my forehead, my jaw. The smell of my own flesh burning fills my nose. "There it is," he murmurs, watching my eyes with the focus of a predator. The beast waking up. I can see her in there, clawing to get out. My wolf surges against the suppression, throwing herself against invisible walls, howling in rage. Black mist starts seeping from beneath my skin like I'm bleeding shadows instead of blood. Garen nods to Kale, who retrieves a brand from the brazier with iron tongs. It glows white-hot, hungry, marked with runes that will sear not just flesh but spirit, not just body but soul. This is the worst part, the part that hurts in places that never heal. I know the smell of my own skin burning. I know the exact sound I make when agony overwhelms control, a sound between a scream and a howl, something that belongs to neither human nor wolf. I know they call this cleansing when it's really just breaking me piece by piece until there's nothing left but obedience and silence and empty eyes. The brand touches my right shoulder blade and the world explodes. Black mist erupts from beneath my skin, like I'm bleeding shadows and fury and ancient power they can't quite suppress. My bones crack and shift, trying desperately to complete a transformation the cuffs won't allow. My spine arches off the table despite the restraints. My fingers elongate into claws that scrape against stone, leaving deep gouges, leaving marks that will outlast me. The wolf inside me thrashes like she's drowning, snarling, demanding blood and freedom and revenge. She shows me flashes of what she wants to do, Garen's throat between her teeth, the taste of his blood, the sound of his spine breaking. She's so close to the surface I can feel her fur trying to emerge, feel my face trying to reshape into a muzzle. "Not yet!" Garen roars, shoving Wolf's banecloth into my mouth, forcing it down my throat until I gag. "You shift when we command it. Not before, not ever. You belong to the Darkfangs now. Your wolf belongs to us." The wolf's bane burns from the inside, poison spreading through my system, forcing my wolf back down. My vision blurs red at the edges, then black, then red again. The beast retreats, forced back into a body too small to hold her fury, back into chains she can't break. Tears slide into my hair. I hate that they fall. I hate that after 64 cleansings, some part of me still breaks. I hate that they can still make me cry. Garen leans close, his breath hot on my face. "One day you'll thank us for this. One day you'll understand that we're teaching you what you really are, nothing. Just another slave." He brands me 3 more times, shoulder, ribs, hip. Each one feels like dying. When it's over, when my screams have faded to whimpers, when my body stops convulsing, when the black mist finally retreats, they unstrap me and drag me back to my cell like discarded meat. My legs don't work. I leave a trail of blood on the stone. The door slams. The lock clicks with finality. Footsteps fade down the corridor, along with their laughter. I curl into the corner where stone meets stone, making myself as small as possible, too exhausted to think, too hollow to cry anymore. My shoulder throbs where the brands are still hot, still burning from the inside out. Just breathing feels like victory, just surviving feels like defiance. The silence presses in, familiar and suffocating, like a blanket made of darkness, but then a small voice cuts through it all. "Red? You still breathing over there?" The only light in this pit of despair is a 7-year-old boy in the cell across from mine. I don't know his name, they took it, same as mine. I don't know why the Darkfangs brought a child here, to a place designed to break the strongest wolves in existence. He shouldn't survive in this world. He's too small, too fragile, too bright for all this darkness and cruelty and death. But somehow, against every law of nature and survival, he's still smiling, even after his own cleansings. Even after nights where I hear him crying when he thinks I'm asleep. Even after everything they've done to him, he smiles at me like the world hasn't proven itself monstrous. I started protecting him without meaning to. Sharing my food even when starvation makes my stomach eat itself from the inside. Singing to him after his own cleansings, even though my voice cracks and breaks. Telling him stories of a world outside these walls, a world I can't fully remember but desperately want him to believe exists. If I can keep him alive, maybe this place hasn't destroyed everything good. If I can protect one small light, maybe I'm not as broken as I feel. He never talks about why he's here, never speaks about his life before. I think he doesn't remember. Or maybe he does, and forgetting is the only way a child survives in hell without losing his mind completely. Sometimes he gets this distant look in his eyes, like he's trying to reach for something just beyond his grasp. It breaks my heart every time. Every night after they return me, broken and bleeding and burned, he presses his small face between the bars and sings to me. His voice is thin but steady, like a candle refusing to be snuffed out by the wind. His songs are wordless melodies that sound older than they should be, like he's remembering music from a dream. He told me once that during his cleansings, he goes somewhere else in his mind, a place with soft grass and warm sunshine, and someone who loves him calling his name. He said I should try it, that it makes the pain easier to bear. I've tried, but my mind is too full of chains and fire and rage to imagine anything soft. My wolf won't let me retreat. She keeps me anchored in the pain because pain means I'm still alive, still fighting, still refusing to surrender. He talks about what we'll do when we escape. Not if, when. Like it's a fact written in the stars, like freedom is inevitable instead of impossible. He says we'll run through forests together. He says we'll eat real food until our stomachs hurt from fullness. He says he'll find his mother and introduce me as the one who saved him. I used to correct him, tell him gently that no one escapes the dark fang dungeons. I used to explain that wolves stronger than us have tried and failed, that their bones still litter the fighting pits above. But the way he looks at me when I say that, like I'm the monster, not them, like I've betrayed something sacred, I stopped. Sometimes his hope is the only thing keeping me human, reminding me that not everything in the world is cruel. Other times, it's the cruelest torture of all, because hope hurts worse than the brands. Tonight, he's pressed against his cell bars, watching me with those two knowing eyes that don't belong on a child. His small fingers curl around the iron, knuckles pale from gripping so tight. There are fresh bruises on his arms, purple-black against his skin. Fresh rope burns around his thin ankles. They've hurt him again. Rage coils tight in my chest, hot and vicious, but I force it down. Losing control helps no one. I shift carefully, every muscle screaming, and drag myself closer to my cell door. "You should rest," I rasp, my voice shredded from screaming. "You need to stay strong." He wrinkles his nose in that way children do when they think adults are being silly. "You need it more. You look like you fought a mountain and lost." A broken laugh escapes me, the first in months, the first since the last time he made me remember what laughter sounds like. "Remind me to challenge that mountain to a rematch when we get out." His face lights up like I've handed him the moon and stars. "I'll help. I'm stronger than I look." I can throw rocks at it. "The mountain won't know what hit it," I say, and for a moment, just a moment, I almost believe it. I study him carefully in the dim torchlight that barely reaches our cells. The bruises on his thin arms, the cut on his lip that's still bleeding, the rope burns around his ankles they took him for questioning today. That's what they call it when they hurt children. Questioning. "Did they hurt you today?" I ask, though I already know the answer. I can smell blood on him. He shrugs like pain is just weather, just something that happens. "Only a little. I went to my happy place." My throat tightens so hard I can barely breathe. "You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to escape inside your own mind just to survive." "But you help me," he whispers, eyes wide and earnest and too old. "You save me every day, Red." "I haven't saved anyone," I say, shaking my head, feeling the weight of that truth. "I can't even save myself. I can barely move after cleansings. I can't break these chains, I can't." "You gave me your bread when I cried from hunger," he interrupts quietly, voice firm despite its softness. You sing to me when the dark gets too big and I can't breathe. You told me nightmares can't catch both of us if we stay awake together. He pauses, then adds with heartbreaking certainty, You're the only one who sees me like I'm still a person. Everyone else looks through me like I'm already dead. Something cracks inside my chest, not breaking but opening. Like a door I thought was sealed forever, like light finding its way into a place that's been dark for years. What's your name? I ask suddenly, urgently, like knowing it will change everything. Your real name, not what they call you down here. Not boy or runt or useless. Your actual name. He blinks, surprised by the question. Then his small face scrunches in concentration, like he's digging for something buried deep, like he's reaching for a treasure at the bottom of a well. I don't remember exactly. But sometimes in my happy place someone calls me. He trails off, frustrated, small fists clenching. It's right there. I can almost hear it. But then it slips away. It's okay, I soothe, keeping my voice gentle even though fury is burning through me. They took his name. They took a child's name. When we get out of here, we'll find your name again. I promise you that. And my name too. We'll remember who we were before they tried to erase us. He smiles, small, hopeful, devastating. Will you tell me a story? About the moon? You said once that wolves used to run under the moon and feel free. I want to feel what that's like, even if it's just pretend. I settle against the bars, as close to him as the cells allow. Our fingers are only inches apart, separated by iron and stone and cruelty. A long time ago, before the dark fangs conquered these mountains, wolves ran in packs under a moon so bright it turned the snow to silver and made the whole world glow. As I weave the story, part memory, part desperate imagination, part hope, I can't quite kill. I notice something strange. The boy tilts his head, listening to my words, but his eyes have gone distant, unfocused. Like he's hearing something beyond my story, something I can't perceive. His small hand reaches through the bars, stretching toward me. Red? He interrupts softly, voice barely above a whisper. Do you ever hear it? The singing? My blood goes cold. What singing? From far away. Like wolves calling to each other, but not howling. It's like music made of pack bonds. Like family calling each other home. He looks at me with sudden intensity, eyes glowing faint gold in the darkness. It's getting closer, Red. The singing is getting closer every night. Do you think someone's coming for us? Before I can answer, before I can tell him it's probably just guards or prisoners or his imagination, he starts humming. The melody is soft at first, barely more than breath, but it grows stronger, more confident, like he's remembering something his body knows even if his mind doesn't. Hush, little wolf cub, the moon watches over sleep while she guards you until the night's over. Your pack will return when the dawn starts breaking. Until then, her light keeps you safe from all danger. I freeze. Every muscle in my body locks, every breath stops. That song, that song. My hands start trembling uncontrollably. The brands on my shoulder burn hotter, like they're reacting to the melody. My wolf surges against her chains, not in rage this time, but in recognition. In longing. Where did you learn that? My voice comes out strangled, desperate. Where did you hear that song? He looks confused by my reaction. I don't know. It just came out. It feels right, though. Safe. He keeps humming, the melody winding through the darkness like silver thread. Hush, little wolf cub, your mother is near. She runs through the shadows to find you. My dear, the bond that was severed will soon be reborn, and the pack torn asunder will rise with the dawn. My mind is screaming. That song, it's scratching at the sealed places in my memory, clawing at the curse that keeps me from remembering. I know that song. Somewhere, somehow I know it. The only people who knew that lullaby were the royal nurses of Moonridge Pack. It was sung only to children of Alpha bloodlines, passed down through generations, protected like the sacred thing it was. I know this with certainty, even though I can't remember how I know it. Stop, I whisper, but he doesn't hear me. Hush, little wolf cub, your name's not forgotten. Though chains may have claimed you and darkness begotten, the king hunts the shadows to bring his cub home. No longer in silence, no longer alone. Pain explodes through my skull, sharp, vicious, like silver nails driving into my brain. The cursed seal reacts violently to the song, fighting against whatever memories are trying to surface. I see flashes, a nursery bathed in moonlight, small hands reaching for me, a voice calling a name I can't quite hear. Blood on white stone, running, always running. How do you know that song? I demand, crawling closer to the bars despite the agony, despite the brands burning like fresh wounds. That's not just any lullaby. It's... He stops humming, looking at me with wide, frightened eyes. Did I do something wrong? You look scared. No, you didn't. I force myself to breathe through the pain. That song, it's important. It means something. It's a piece of the puzzle, don't you see? But he's just a child. He doesn't see. He's just humming a song that feels safe, that comforts him in the dark. My wolf is going insane inside me, howling and throwing herself against the suppression chains. She knows that song, she knows what it means, and she's screaming at me to remember. The boy starts humming again, softer this time, almost to himself. And in the darkness of the Dark Fang dungeons, surrounded by death and despair and 7 years of chains, I feel something I thought was dead forever. Hope. Not the small, fragile hope of maybe surviving another day, but the fierce, burning hope of wolves who know their pack is coming. The boy looks at me through the bars, and for just a moment, I see something in his eyes that stops my heart, a flash of gold, ancient and powerful, like something dormant finally waking up. "Red," he whispers, "why are you crying?" I touch my face and realize tears are streaming down my cheeks, but these aren't tears of pain or despair. "I don't know," I whisper back. "I don't know. But I do." Somewhere beneath the curse, beneath the seals, beneath 7 years of torture and erasure, I know that lullaby is a key. And somewhere far above us, beyond these dungeons, beyond the Dark Fang fortress, beyond the cursed mountains, someone is looking for us. The boy smiles, small and hopeful and heartbreaking, and starts humming the lullaby again. This time, I let myself listen. I let the melody wash over me, let it dig at the sealed places, let it hurt, because some pain means healing, and some songs are worth remembering, even if remembering might destroy you. The truth about that lullaby will shatter everything. Want to know what happens when the Alpha King arrives at the Dark Fang auction and recognizes his fated mate in chains? And who the mysterious boy really is? Drop a comment, and I'll continue this story. This is only the beginning of Yaka's return from the dead. But to understand how a lullaby could break through a 7-year curse, you need to know what I was before they stole my name, before the silver chains, before the brands. Before my wolf was buried beneath spells designed to erase her completely. 7 years ago I was someone the moon smiled upon. 7 years ago, I had everything: a mate bond burning bright, a child's heartbeat against my chest, and a pack that called me Luna. 7 years ago I made a choice that would destroy my world and reshape it into something unrecognizable. This is how it began. This is what they tried to make me forget. The horn blast tears through the dungeon like a wound opening in the air. 3 long, resonant notes that echo down stone corridors and shake dust from ancient beams. I've heard that horn only twice before in 7 years. Both times, prisoners who answered its call never came back. Their cells stayed empty. Their names were never spoken again. The horn means guests. Important ones. The kind who come to the Dark Fang fortress not for politics or alliances, but for spectacle, for trophies, for wolves they can break in ways even the Dark Fangs haven't imagined yet. Boots thunder through the corridors. Cell doors slam open one by one, metal shrieking against stone. Guards shout commands in voices rough with excitement. They only get excited when there's an audience, when they can show off their collection of broken things. "All prisoners to the auction square?" A guard bellows. "Alpha's orders. We're offering gifts to visiting dignitaries. Best behavior or you'll wish you'd died in your cells." My stomach drops. The boy across from me presses his face against the bars, eyes wide with fear he usually hides so well. "Red? What's happening?" "I don't know." I lie, because the truth would terrify him. "Stay close to me if they take us out. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't look anyone in the eye." "Will they hurt us?" "Not if I can help it." Another lie. "I can't help anything. I can barely stand." Guards drag prisoners from cells in chains. Some go quietly, too broken to resist. Others fight and earn silver-tipped batons across their backs. I hear bones crack. I hear screaming cut short. When they reach my cell, Darren smiles like he's been waiting for this. Today's your lucky day, Red Curse. Alpha Kane wants to show off his most exotic acquisitions. That means you. He unlocks my cell with deliberate slowness, savoring my dread. Clean yourself up as best you can. Can't have you looking too pathetic. Kills the mystique. They throw a bucket of freezing water at me. I gasp as it hits, washing away layers of blood and grime but leaving the brands, leaving the scars, leaving everything that marks me as property. They attach fresh chains to my cuffs, longer ones meant for display. The metal gleams in torchlight, polished specifically for this. Move, Kale orders, yanking the chain. They drag me toward the stairs I haven't climbed in 7 years. Behind me, I hear the boys' cell opening. I turn my head despite the pain. Don't, I start to say, but Darren backhands me. Eyes forward, slave. We climb. My legs shake from disuse, from starvation, from the sheer impossibility of movement after so long in darkness. Each step is agony. Each breath burns in lungs that forgot what clean air tastes like. And then we reach the top. Daylight hits me like a physical blow. I stumble, blind, choking on air that doesn't taste like rot and wolf's bane. The sun is so bright it feels like blades in my eyes. I can't see. I can't breathe. My skin burns where light touches it, like I'm made of shadow and the sun is trying to burn me away. Keep moving, a guard snarls, shoving me forward. My vision adjusts slowly, painfully. The auction square sprawls before us, a massive courtyard carved from mountain stone. Dark fang wolves line the perimeter in their black leather armor, spears held at attention. In the center, a raised platform displays prisoners like merchandise. Some are chained to posts. Others kneel in silver-laced cages designed to hurt without killing. Alpha Kane stands at the platform's edge, arms spread wide, addressing a crowd of visiting alphas and their entourages. He's massive even for a wolf, scarred and cruel, with eyes that reflect nothing but appetite. Welcome, honored guests. He booms, voice carrying across the square. Today, I offer you a selection of my finest acquisitions, rogues captured in the Northern Territories, wolves from conquered packs, and prizes so rare, so exotic, they've never been seen outside these walls. His gaze lands on me as guards drag me onto the platform. Behold, he announces with theatrical flourish, the Red Curse. 7 years in my dungeons and still unbroken, a she-wolf whose power even silver cannot fully suppress. Imagine what such a creature could become in the right hands. The crowd murmurs. I feel their eyes crawling over me like insects, evaluating, pricing, deciding what I'm worth. I keep my head down, chains clinking with each breath. Survival means invisibility. Survival means being worthless enough that no one wants to own you. But then the crowd's murmur shifts to something else. Silence. Complete and sudden, like someone cut the throat of sound itself. He enters through the fortress gates like a storm-given form, tall enough that even the dark fang guards look small. Broad-shouldered, scarred across every visible inch of skin, wearing only dark leather pants and a cloak made from black wolf pelts. His hair falls past his shoulders, dark as midnight, framing a face carved from violence and authority. But it's his eyes that steal my breath. Gold. Pure molten gold, glowing with power that makes my wolf whimper and surge simultaneously. Behind him prowl 3 massive black wolves, each one larger than any natural wolf should be. Their eyes burn ember red in the daylight, smoke curling from their mouths like they're breathing fire instead of air. They move in perfect synchronization with him, an extension of his will made flesh. The entire courtyard bows. Guards, prisoners. Even Alpha Kane drops to one knee. Alpha King Malik Kane says, voice tight with fear disguised as respect, "You honor us with your presence. I wasn't expecting royalty at our humble gathering." "I go where I please," Malik says, voice low and commanding, the kind of voice that doesn't need to be loud to be heard. "I heard rumors of rare acquisitions. I came to see for myself." His gaze sweeps the platform, assessing prisoners with the efficiency of someone who's seen 1,000 auctions and found them all lacking. His wolves circle the perimeter, and every dark-fang wolf they pass shrinks back in instinctive submission. My chains feel heavier suddenly. My brands burn hotter. Every instinct screams at me to make myself smaller, to disappear, to become nothing worth noticing. But then his eyes land on me. And the bond mark on my wrist, silent and cold for 7 years, erupts in searing heat. I gasp. The pain is immediate and overwhelming, like someone pressed a brand directly onto the old scar. I look down and see it glowing beneath layers of grime and blood, pulsing with light that shouldn't exist, that can't exist. Bond marks die when mates die. Everyone knows this. But mine is burning like it's being forged anew. Malik freezes mid-step. His hand goes to his own wrist, gripping it like he's been shot. His wolves stop moving, heads snapping toward me in perfect unison. The entire courtyard holds its breath. He crosses the distance between us in 3 strides, moving with predatory grace that makes my wolf throw herself against her chains in recognition, in longing, in fury at being unable to reach him. "You," he says, voice rough. "Look at me." I can't. I keep my head down, chains clinking as I tremble. Looking at him will make this real. Looking at him will break something inside me that's barely holding together. I said, "Look at me." His hand grips my chin, tilting my face up with surprising gentleness. The moment our eyes meet, the world fractures. The bond mark explodes with light so bright the guards cry out. Pain and recognition slam through me simultaneously. I see his face, younger, smiling. I see a palace burning. I see a baby in my arms, crying. I see betrayal written in blood across white stone. Malik's eyes widen. His grip on my chin tightens. "Impossible," he breathes. "Yaka?" My name. He spoke my name. The name I couldn't remember, couldn't access, couldn't claim as mine for 7 years. Hearing it breaks something. The curse seal in my mind cracks. Just a fraction, just enough for memory to bleed through. I see us together under a full moon, his hands in my hair, his voice promising forever. I see him crowning me with silver, calling me Luna. I see us planning our future, building a kingdom, creating something beautiful. And then I see it all burning. "Malik," I whisper, and saying his name feels like swallowing glass. The curse fights back, sending agony through my skull, but I force the word out. "You're alive." "I thought you were dead," he says, and there's something broken in his voice, something that sounds like 7 years of grief compressed into 4 words. "They told me you died in the attack. They showed me ashes. They made me bury an empty coffin." His hand moves from my chin to my wrist, touching the glowing bond mark. The moment his skin makes contact, light erupts between us, blinding and absolute. The bond snaps back into place like a rope pulled taut, connecting us across 7 years of silence and death and lies. And then chaos. The dark fang wolves around the platform start convulsing. Their bodies seize, backs arching, mouths foaming. They collapse in waves, overcome by bond backlash, by the sheer force of a mated pair reuniting after being torn apart. Alpha Cain staggers back, eyes wide with shock and something close to terror. "What is this? What's happening?" "She's mine!" Malik snarls, and his voice carries the weight of absolute authority, the kind that makes reality bend to accommodate it. "She's always been mine, and you dared to chain her. You dared to break her." His wolves move forward as one, growling low and threatening. The 3 black beasts position themselves around me, creating a barrier between me and every dark fang in the square. Cain tries to laugh, tries to regain control. "She's a slave, Your Majesty. Property of the Dark Fang Pack. Whatever bond you think exists is clearly—" "Are you calling your king a liar?" Malik's eyes flash gold so bright it looks like the sun itself is burning behind them. Cain's laughter dies. "No, of course not, but—" "Then you will release her, now. We can negotiate a price." Malik moves faster than should be possible. One moment he's standing beside me. The next, his hand is wrapped around Cain's throat, lifting the larger alpha off the ground like he weighs nothing. "I don't negotiate for what's already mine," Malik says softly, voice dropping to something deadly. "Every moment she suffered here is a debt you owe. Every scar on her body is a mark against your pack. Every breath you take in my presence is a mercy I'm considering revoking." He drops Cain, who collapses gasping. Then Malik turns back to me, and his expression shifts from fury to something gentler, something that looks like heartbreak. He removes his cloak with careful movements, like I'm something fragile, something that might shatter if handled roughly. The black wolf pelt settles around my shoulders, massive and warm and smelling like pine forests and winter nights and safety I forgot existed. I have you, he says quietly, just for me. I have you now. His hands work at my chains, breaking locks that should require keys. Metal shatters under his grip. The cuffs fall away, taking 7 years of weight with them. My wrists are raw beneath, bleeding, carved with rune scars that might never fade. But I'm free. Anyone who touches her dies. Malik announces to the entire courtyard, voice carrying to every corner. Anyone who speaks her name without permission dies. Anyone who even looks at her wrong will answer to me personally. She is Luna of the Northern Kingdom. She is my mate, and she is under my protection. The dark fang wolves bow their heads in submission. Even Cain doesn't dare challenge that declaration. But then I hear it. A sound from the crowd of prisoners still on the platform. A growl. Low. Almost human. Familiar. I turn my head and see the boy. His eyes have shifted from their usual soft brown to glowing gold. The same gold as Malik's. The same gold that marks royal bloodlines. He's not looking at the chaos around us. He's looking directly at Malik with recognition that shouldn't be possible, with longing that breaks my heart. Malik's head snaps toward the sound. His entire body goes rigid. His wolves turn as one, focusing on the small figure half hidden behind larger prisoners. Who, Malik says slowly, dangerously, is that child? The boy steps forward, chains clinking. Too brave, too unafraid. He shouldn't recognize Malik. He doesn't remember anything. But his mouth opens, and he says one word that stops the world. Father? Malik carries me the entire way, refusing to let me walk despite my protests. His wolves clear the path, snarling at anything that moves too close. The boy rides on one of the black wolves, small hands buried in midnight fur, eyes still glowing faint gold. We don't speak. There are too many words needed, and none of them fit the moment. The palace rises from mountain peaks like it grew from the stone itself. White towers pierce clouds. Banners bearing the northern crest snap in cold wind. Guards in silver armor bow as we pass through gates taller than trees. Everything is too clean, too bright, too much after 7 years of darkness. They take me to bathing chambers carved from marble veined with gold. Female attendants wait, their faces carefully blank, but I see shock in their eyes when they look at me. I don't blame them. I must look like a corpse given motion. Leave the door open. Malik commands from the hallway. Guards posted outside. No one enters without my permission. The attendants work in silence, pouring hot water that turns immediately brown with dungeon filth. They're gentle, but every touch makes me flinch. I'm not used to gentleness. I'm not sure how to receive it without expecting pain to follow. They wash away 7 years of accumulated horror. Blood, grime, layers of suffering that had become a second skin. The water never runs clear, they change it 5 times. When they finally help me from the bath, they wrap me in silk so soft it feels wrong against my scarred flesh. They try to bandage my wrists, but the rune scars resist healing magic. Some wounds go too deep to fix. They position me before a floor-length mirror. I stare at my reflection and don't recognize what looks back. The woman in the mirror is gaunt, hollow-eyed, carved from suffering. Her red hair hangs limp and lifeless past her shoulders. Her skin is too pale, stretched over bones that show too clearly. Brands mark her shoulder, her ribs, her hip in patterns designed to hurt. But her eyes are the worst part. They're empty. Dead. The eyes of someone who stopped hoping. Is this me? I whisper to no one. One of the attendants, braver than the others, steps forward. You're home now, my lady. You'll heal. Will I? Can someone heal from this? Or do you just learn to live with the scars, carrying them like chains you can't see? The door opens, Malik enters, and the attendants bow in retreat. He's changed clothes, now wearing dark formal attire that marks him as king rather than warrior. But his eyes are still that impossible gold, still burning with emotion I can't name. They've prepared rooms for you, he says carefully. And for the boy, he's being fed and examined by healers. Is he hurt? Nothing permanent, malnourished, some old injuries. But he'll survive. Malik pauses. Yaka, we need to talk about him. About what he said. About what it means. I don't know what it means, I say honestly. I don't remember him. I don't remember anything clearly. The curse. There's a curse? His voice sharpens. On you? On my memories. My name. Everything from before. It's sealed. Every time I try to remember, pain stops me. I only know fragments. Flashes. Nothing whole. Guilt twists his features. I should have found you sooner. I should have known you were alive. I searched for months, but the trail went cold. Your scent disappeared. The bond went silent. Every sign pointed to death. Maybe that's what they wanted you to believe. Who? Who did this? I don't know. The memories are locked. I touch my temple where pain lives. But someone went to great lengths to make me forget. To make everyone forget. He crosses to me, stopping close enough that I can feel heat radiating from his skin. I'll find who did this. I'll burn the truth out of every suspect. And then I'll make them suffer for every day they stole from us. The venom in his voice should frighten me. Instead, it's oddly comforting. At least someone wants revenge as badly as I do. The council wants to meet you, Malik says, changing subjects. They've been demanding it since we arrived. They need to verify your identity, confirm the bond. It's protocol. And if they don't believe me? Then they'll answer to me. The council chamber is designed to intimidate. High ceilings, stone walls carved with centuries of pack history, a semicircle of seats where 10 of the most powerful wolves in the Northern Kingdom sit in judgment. And at the center, just behind the High Council seats, stands Lady Sarah. She's beautiful in the way poisonous things often are. Dark hair swept into elaborate braids. Elegant gown of deep burgundy that probably costs more than a village. Eyes sharp and calculating, assessing me with the precision of a predator evaluating prey. This is the woman you claim as mate? Elder Torvin, head of the High Council, asks Malik. His voice drips skepticism. She looks nothing like the Luna we mourned. 7 years of torture tend to change a person, Malik says coldly. Indeed, but how can we be certain this isn't an imposter? Someone using magic to mimic a bond mark? We have only your word that she's truly Yaka. You have the bond mark itself, Malik snaps. You have my wolves recognition. You have the bond backlash that affected every wolf within a mile of the reunion. What more proof do you need? Lady Sarah steps forward, her movements liquid grace. Your Majesty, no one doubts your conviction, but we must consider all possibilities. 7 years ago, there was an attack on the royal nursery. Luna Yaka disappeared that night. The nursery was destroyed. Your infant son was killed. Her words hit me like physical blows. The nursery, the baby. Fragments of memory claw at the seal in my mind. What if, Sarah continues smoothly, this woman wasn't a victim of that attack? What if she was part of it? What if she's the reason your son is dead? The chamber erupts. Council members shout over each other. Malik's wolves snarl from their positions by the door. That's a serious accusation, Lady Sarah, Elder Torvin warns, but his tone suggests he's considering it. I have evidence, Sarah says, pulling a sealed scroll from her sleeve. Records from informants in the Dark Fang territories. They suggest Yaka was working with them. That she betrayed the Northern Kingdom for promises of power. That she orchestrated the attack herself and fled when it went wrong. Lies. Malik snarls, but doubt flickers across some council members' faces. I should defend myself. I should rage against these accusations. But the curse seal is burning in my mind, and fragments of that night are surfacing against my will. Fire, screaming, a baby crying, and poison. Silver poison in a nursery that should have been safe. Let the accused speak, Elder Torvin commands. All eyes turn to me. I'm still wearing the silk robe from the baths, still looking like a ghost, still feeling like one. I didn't betray anyone, I say, voice stronger than I feel. I don't remember everything, but I know that much. Whatever happened that night, I wasn't the enemy. Then explain the evidence, Sarah demands. Explain why Darkfang records name you as an ally. I can't. The memories are sealed. How convenient. Malik steps between us, physical barrier between Sarah and me. Enough. If you doubt her, then we'll settle this the old way. Invoke the truth flame. The chamber goes silent. The truth flame is ancient magic, older than the packs themselves. It burns away lies, leaving only truth visible for all to see. It's also agonizing for the person being tested. Your Majesty, Sarah says carefully, are you certain? The flame shows everything. If she's hiding something, then we'll know, Malik interrupts. And if she's innocent, you'll owe her an apology and your resignation from this court. Sarah's smile doesn't waver, but something dark flashes in her eyes. As you wish. They bring the truth flame in a brazier carved from volcanic glass. The fire inside burns gold and white, hot enough to make the air shimmer. Two priests chant in the old language, activating magic that predates the written word. I'm positioned in the center of the circle. The flame burns higher, reaching toward me like it's alive and curious. State your name, Elder Torvin commands. Yaka. The word comes easily. The first time I've been able to say it without pain. The flame burns gold. Truth. Are you mate to Alpha King Malik? Yes, gold flame, truth. Did you betray the Northern Kingdom 7 years ago? No. Gold flame. Truth. Did you orchestrate the attack on the royal nursery? No. The flame flickers. Still gold but hesitant, the priests exchange glances. Did you know who attacked the nursery? I open my mouth to answer, and agony slams through my skull. The curse seal activates with vicious force, driving spikes of pain through my brain. I try to speak, try to form words, but my tongue won't move. My throat closes. The flame turns black. Gasps echo through the chamber. Black flame means lies, means deception, means guilt. I'm not lying. I force out through the pain. I can't speak. The curse? Convenient, Sarah says again, louder this time. The moment we ask about the attack, suddenly she can't answer. Something's wrong. Malik steps forward, but the priests block him. The ritual can't be interrupted. Did you take the infant prince from the nursery that night? Elder Torvin demands. Yes. The answer screams in my mind. I took him to save him. I ran with him crying in my arms, but when I try to speak, only silence comes. The curse won't let me explain, won't let me defend myself. The flame burns blacker. Did you cause the death of the infant prince? No, gods, no, I saved him. I got him out, but the words won't come. The seal is too strong. Pain drives me to my knees, and the flame interprets my silence as confession. Black fire roars higher. Enough, Malik commands. Stop this. She's cursed. Can't you see that? What I see, Elder Torvin says heavily, is a woman who cannot speak truth about the night our prince died. Whether by curse or by guilt, the result is the same. She's hiding something. Your Majesty, Sarah says softly, false sympathy dripping from every word. I know this is painful, but the law is clear. Until she can answer these questions truthfully, she cannot be trusted. For the safety of the kingdom, she must be confined. Malik looks at me. In his eyes, I see war between what he knows and what he's being forced to accept, between love and duty, between his mate and his crown, confinement until sunrise. He says finally, voice breaking, "We'll find another way to break the curse. We'll get answers." A wise decision, Sarah murmurs. Guards move forward. Not roughly, but firmly. They escort me from the chamber while the council murmurs among themselves. I catch Sarah's eyes as I pass. She's smiling, small, victorious. She did this. Somehow, she's part of this. I know it with certainty that has nothing to do with memory and everything to do with the way predators recognize each other. They lock me in a tower room. Not a dungeon, not chains, but still a cage. The door is spelled. The windows won't open. I'm trapped again, just in a prettier prison. I collapse onto the bed, exhaustion and pain overwhelming me. My mind spins, trying to grasp memories that slip away like smoke. The curse seal is stronger now, reinforced by my failed attempt to speak. Sleep takes me against my will. And I dream. I'm in the nursery. Moonlight streams through tall windows. A baby sleeps in a cradle carved from silver wood. He's beautiful, perfect, mine. Then I smell it. Poison. Silver poison in the air, in the blankets, in everything. I grab the baby. He cries, confused and frightened. I run through corridors I recognize but can't place. Behind me, footsteps. Laughter. A woman's voice. You can't save him. You can't save anyone. I turn and see her. Sarah, younger, but unmistakable. She's holding a vial of silver liquid. Did you really think I'd let you keep your perfect life? She asks. Your perfect mate? Your perfect child? You took everything that should have been mine. I'll tell them. I gasp. I'll tell Malik what you've done. She smiles. No, you won't. She speaks words in a language that hurts to hear. The curse seal forms around my memories, locking them away. The baby's cry fades. Everything fades. Except her final whisper, echoing through the dream and into waking. He'll never believe you. I wake gasping, tears streaming down my face. Dawn light filters through the windows. The door is still locked, and somewhere in this palace, Lady Sarah is preparing her next move. The boy. She doesn't know about the boy yet. Doesn't know that the son she thinks is dead is sleeping in a room down the hall. That knowledge is the only weapon I have, and I'll use it before she destroys everything again. The tower room door unlocks at midday. Not guards, but Malik himself. His face is drawn, exhausted, like he hasn't slept. He probably hasn't. Come with me, he says without preamble. Something's happened. I follow him through corridors that still feel too bright, too clean. Palace servants press themselves against walls as we pass, their eyes tracking me with curiosity and fear. Word has spread. The returned Luna who might be a traitor, the mate who can't speak truth. We descend into the lower levels where the council chamber sits, but Malik guides me past it to a smaller room used for private audiences. Inside, 3 of his scouts kneel in formal submission. Between them stands the boy from the dungeons. He looks different in clean clothes, with food in his belly and color in his cheeks, but his eyes are the same, still too old. Still glowing faint gold when the light hits them right. Tell her what you told me. Malik commands the lead scout, a grizzled wolf named Tormund. Tormund rises, his expression troubled. Your Majesty, we were patrolling the northern ridge as ordered when we encountered a pack of feral wolves, 20 strong, hunting in coordinated patterns. We prepared to engage, but then... He hesitates. The boy appeared, walked right through them like they were house pets. They followed his commands without him speaking a word, without him shifting. We've never seen anything like it. That's impossible, I whisper. Only royal bloodlines can command wolves in human form. It requires years of training and a fully manifested bond with the pack consciousness. Yet he did it, Tormund insists. A child no older than 7, controlling ferals that would tear apart most adult alphas. Malik's gaze shifts to the boy, heavy with questions that have no easy answers. What's your name, child? The boy's small face scrunches in concentration. I don't remember, but the lady in the dungeon called me something that felt right. She called me. He looks at me, hope shining in his eyes. You called me something, not Red, something else. In your stories. My heart stops. In the stories I told him during those long nights, I wove tales of wolves running free, of packs united, of a world where children grew up safe and loved. And in those stories I named the young Prince Batayev, a name that came to me without knowing why, without understanding that I was remembering my own son. Batayev, I breathe, and the name tastes like truth, like coming home. The boy's face lights up. Yes, that's it, that's my name. How did you know? Malik staggers back a step, gripping the table for support. Batayev, that's what we were going to name our son. Before. He can't finish the sentence. The boy looks between us, confusion and something else playing across his features. Recognition, maybe, or longing. Are you my parents? No one answers. How do you tell a child that he's supposed to be dead? That 7 years ago everyone believed he died in flames and betrayal? That his mother was cursed to forget him and his father mourned an empty coffin? But then the boy starts humming. The same lullaby from the dungeons. The royal lullaby that only Moonridge nurses knew. The sound slices through my curse seal like a blade through silk. Pain explodes in my skull, but it's different this time. Not the sharp denial of forbidden memory, but the agony of walls crumbling, of truth forcing its way through years of magical suppression. "Stop!" I gasp, reaching for him. "Please stop, I can't." But he doesn't stop. He walks toward me, still humming, and when his small hand touches mine, the world detonates. Black smoke erupts from my skin like I'm bleeding shadows. The runes carved into my wrists from years of silver cuffs ignite in gold fire, burning away the suppression magic etched into my very bones. I fall to my knees, screaming, as 7 years of locked memories flood back all at once. I remember everything. The nursery bathed in moonlight, my son sleeping peacefully in his cradle. The scent of silver poison creeping through the vents, invisible but deadly. My wolf surging to alertness, sensing danger seconds before it arrives. Sarah entering the room, her face twisted with hatred and jealousy. The vial of poison in her hand, already empty, already spreading through the air. "Did you really think I'd let you have everything?" she hissed. "The mate I loved? The crown I deserved? The perfect life that should have been mine?" I grabbed Badaev from his cradle, his small body warm and confused against my chest. "You're insane. Malik will never forgive this. Malik will never know," she said, speaking words in the old language, words that hurt to hear. Dark magic, forbidden and ancient, wrapping around my mind like chains. "You'll forget everything. Your name, your son, your purpose. You'll vanish like smoke, and I'll comfort the grieving king until he sees me as the only one who understands his pain." I ran. Through corridors I knew by heart, through secret passages meant for royal emergencies, through the palace that was supposed to be the safest place in the kingdom. Behind me, Sarah's laughter echoed, cruel and victorious. I made it to the border, almost to safety, almost to wolves who would protect us. But the dark fangs were waiting. Sarah had arranged it all, sold information about my escape route, promised them a prize they couldn't resist, a royal Luna, a healer with power in her blood. They tore Bataev from my arms. I fought like a demon, like something feral and beyond reason, but there were too many. Silver chains, wolfsbane, magic that burned through my defenses. The last thing I saw before the curse fully took hold was a dark fang scout running into the forest with my son, sent to dispose of the evidence. But the scout must have had mercy, or maybe just wanted to save a child from certain death. He left Bataev near a pack of ferals instead of killing him, gambling that the boy's royal blood might help him survive. And somehow, impossibly it did, the memory stopped flooding. I'm on the floor, gasping, tears streaming down my face. Malik kneels beside me, his hands on my shoulders, his own face wet with tears he's not bothering to hide. Around us, the walls of the room are burning with golden light. Not flame, but pure magical truth, writing itself across stone in letters 10 feet tall. Sira poisoned the air, Sira cursed the Luna, Sira betrayed the throne. The words pulse with power that can't be denied, can't be argued against. Truth magic, the same kind that powers the flame itself, responding to the breaking of my curse and exposing everything that was hidden. Malik's hands tighten on my shoulders. His voice when he speaks is barely human, more wolf than man. "Where is she?" "The council meeting," one of the scouts stammers. "Lady Sarah was called to give testimony about—" "Find her," Malik snarls. "Now." Scouts scatter. Guards pour into the room, drawn by the commotion. They stare at the burning words on the walls, at their king kneeling beside his mate, at the small boy who stands between them with eyes glowing pure gold. An alarm sounds. Not the normal palace bells, but something older. Blood moon bells, used only for the gravest emergencies. The sound echoes across the entire kingdom, deep and resonant and full of warning. A guard bursts through the door. "Your Majesty, Lady Sarah has fled the palace. She was seen heading toward the old temple in the northern forest." Malik rises, pulling me up with him. His face is carved from fury and determination. "We finish this tonight." The blood moon hangs low and swollen in the sky, turning everything red as spilled wine. Fitting, for the night that ends in blood or redemption. We run through the forest in half-shifted form, faster than fully human, more controlled than fully wolf. Malik leads, his 3 black wolves flanking him like shadows given form. I follow, my own wolf finally free after 7 years of suppression, singing in my veins with joy and rage and purpose. And between us runs Bataev, keeping pace despite his small size, surrounded by a pack of ferals who appeared from nowhere and fell into formation around him like he's been leading them his whole life. Maybe he has. Maybe survival taught him to command before he could understand what power he wielded. The forest blurs past, trees older than kingdoms, streams that run red under the blood moon's light. Ancient stone markers that warn of sacred ground ahead. The old temple rises from the forest floor like a broken tooth. Half collapsed, overgrown with vines, abandoned for centuries after dark magic stained its foundations. Exactly the kind of place someone practicing forbidden magic would choose for their final stand. Sarah waits at the temple entrance, surrounded by a circle of black candles. The truth flame burns in a brazier before her, but it's wrong, corrupted. The gold fire has turned crimson, twisted by dark magic into something that no longer shows truth but devours it. "I knew you'd come," she says, her beautiful face calm despite everything. The loyal mate, the devoted king, the miraculous son who refused to die. How touching! Malik's wolves snarl, moving to attack, but Sarah gestures and the corrupted flame roars higher, creating a barrier of crimson fire. "This is between us," I say, stepping forward. My wolf pushes against my skin, demanding release, demanding revenge. "You poisoned my child. You stole 7 years of our lives. You tortured me for a crime you committed. I did what I had to do," Sarah snaps, and finally emotion cracks through her composure. "Do you know what it's like? Loving someone who can't see you? I gave Malik everything. My loyalty, my counsel, my heart. But he only had eyes for you. Pretty little Yaka with her healing powers and her perfect bloodline and her perfect love story. So you destroyed everything," Malik says, his voice deadly quiet. "Because you couldn't have what you wanted, you made sure no one else could either." "I made myself indispensable," Sarah corrects. "I comforted you. I advised you. I stood beside you through 7 years of grief. If she had stayed gone, you would have eventually seen me, chosen me." "I would have died first," Malik says flatly. Sarah flinches like he struck her. Then her face hardens into something vicious. "Well, I suppose we'll never know now, will we?" She speaks words in the old language, the same words she used to curse me 7 years ago. The corrupted flame responds, shooting toward us in whips of crimson fire. We scatter. The wolves dodge and circle, looking for openings. But Sarah's magic is stronger here, fed by years of practice and desperation and hate. "Even chained in that dungeon, you outshined me," she screams, sending another wave of flame. "Even broken and nameless, you were more Luna than I could ever be. I hate you for it. I hate that you're everything I could never become." The silver cuffs from my dungeon days, still lying in a corner where they were thrown after Malik broke them, begin to glow. Not with suppression magic this time, but with something else. Fire magic, truth magic, the same power burning on the temple walls, responding to my presence and my pain and my rage. The cuffs melt, reforming into living chains of gold flame. They wrap around my wrists of their own accord, extensions of my will, weapons forged from my suffering. "You're right," I say, and my voice carries power it never had before. Power earned through surviving, through enduring, through refusing to break even when breaking would have been easier. You could never be Luna, not because you lacked the bloodline or the bond or the crown, but because being Luna means protecting your pack even when it costs everything, and you only ever protected yourself. The flaming chains lash out, wrapping around the barrier Sarah created. Where they touch, the corrupted fire purifies back to gold, truth burning away lies, justice consuming betrayal. Sarah stumbles back, her magic failing. No, I worked too hard, sacrificed too much. You can't take this from me. You took it from yourself," Malik says, moving to my side. "The moment you chose hate over honor." Bataev steps forward, small but fearless, surrounded by his feral pack. "You hurt my mother. You made her forget me. You tried to kill me." The simple accusation from a child's mouth carries more weight than any formal charge. Sarah looks at him, and for just a moment, Something like regret flickers across her face. Then it's gone, replaced by defiance. The flaming chains wrap around her throat, responding to my will without me consciously commanding them. Sarah gasps, clawing at the fire that doesn't burn flesh but sears soul, showing her every crime, every lie, every moment of selfishness that led to this end. End her, Malik whispers, and there's permission in his voice. Justice. The right of the wrong to claim vengeance. My grip tightens. It would be so easy. One thought and the chains would consume her, reducing her to nothing but ash and memory. But then I remember the boy in the dungeon who taught me that hope could survive in hell. I remember the woman in the cell beside me who stopped screaming but whose eyes stayed open, unable to believe how easily a life could vanish. I remember what it cost to stay human when everything tried to make me monster. I release my grip. The chains loosen but don't disappear. Instead, they pulse with gold light, waiting. Let the flame decide. I say, stepping back. Not me, not my rage. Let truth itself judge you. The purified truth flame roars to life, no longer corrupted, no longer twisted. It surrounds Sarah in a column of gold fire that shows every sin, every betrayal, every moment of darkness written across her soul for all to see. She screams. Not in pain, but in denial. I loved him. Everything I did was because I loved him. Love doesn't poison children, I say quietly. Love doesn't curse and torture and destroy. What you felt was possession, obsession, everything but actual love. The flame agrees. It burns hotter, and Sarah's body begins to disintegrate. Not violently, but thoroughly, reducing her to ash that drifts away on the wind. When it's done, nothing remains but a single piece of jewelry. The cursed earring she wore the night she destroyed my life, still pulsing with dark magic even now. Malik crushes it beneath his boot. The dark magic shatters, and with it, the last trace of Sarah's influence on our kingdom. The blood moon begins to set. Dawn light creeps across the horizon, turning the sky from red to gold to blue. A new day, a new beginning. We return to the palace as the sun rises fully. Word has already spread. The entire kingdom lines the streets, wolves in human and animal form, kneeling as we pass. Not in submission, but in recognition, in welcome, in celebration of a Luna returned from death. The coronation happens in the great hall where I was once crowned 7 years ago. The same hall where I stood beside Malik and promised to protect this kingdom with everything I had, where I became Luna before fate and betrayal tried to unmake me. But this time is different. This time I know the cost of that crown, know what it means to lose everything and fight to reclaim it. Malik holds a circlet forged from my broken dungeon chains, transformed by mastersmiths into something beautiful. Gold inlaid with silver, proof that even the tools of oppression can become symbols of triumph. Luna Yaka, he says, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. You were stolen from us, tortured, cursed to forget your name and your purpose. But you survived, you endured. You protected our son even when you couldn't remember he was yours. You are the embodiment of everything this kingdom stands for. Strength through adversity. Hope through darkness. Freedom earned through refusal to break. He places the circlet on my head, and this time, I don't flinch from its weight. This time, I wear it knowing exactly what it means. Batev stands beside me, dressed in formal clothes that mark him as crown prince. Around his neck hangs the pendant that once carried the curse seal used to silence me, but now it's been cleansed, transformed into a symbol of protection, of voice reclaimed, of silence broken forever. The wolves howl, not in mourning this time, but in joy. The sound echoes across the valley, across the mountains, announcing to everyone within 100 miles that the northern kingdom is whole again. Malik takes my hand, and the bond mark on both our wrists blazes with light visible to everyone watching. Proof that some bonds can survive even death, even curses, even 7 years of separation and lies. I look at my family, my mate who never stopped searching, my son who survived the impossible and found his way home, my kingdom that welcomed me back despite every reason to doubt. And I remember the woman I was in that dungeon cell, the one who counted water drops to measure time, the one who thought hope was the cruelest torture, the one who almost envied the dead because at least they didn't have to wake up in hell anymore. She was wrong. Hope isn't torture. Hope is the only thing strong enough to survive when everything else burns away. They called me slave when they chained me in darkness. They called me monster when my power scared them. They called me traitor when lies seemed more believable than truth. And now they call me Luna, as if that's the end of the story. But I know better. I was always what the chains feared most. I was always free,